Jim, if you could just give us sort of the summation of your journey and how you came, it's an interesting story, to believe what you believe and why.
Yeah, I wasn't raised in the church. My family were no Christians in my family, so I didn't have anybody modeling this for me or sharing it with me. My dad's he was a cop before me. I followed in his footsteps. I have a son, Jimmy, who just came in late last night, who now has been at our agency for about 5 years. So we have 3 generations of guys with the same name. We're all named Jim Wallace. We're kind of like the George Foreman of law enforcement, you know, same name over and over and over again. But we ended up, I was not really interested in Christianity. The Christians I knew were guys who were officers who didn't have any ability to defend what they believed. So I could mock these guys pretty easily, and they really couldn't defend themselves. And the other Christians I knew were the people who were taken to jail. So between those two groups of people we were taken to jail who claimed to be Christians, and people who were not really able to defend what they believed as Christians, I just didn't want any part of it. But my wife was more interested than I was. So I was about 35 years old, and I was at a huge mega church, didn't want to go. My wife wanted to go in Southern California. And so we went to this thing, and the pastor was clever enough on that day to pitch Jesus in a way that I could catch him. He pitched Jesus as a really smart guy. And that was it. That was the limit of what he really had. I mean, he said some other things, but I didn't hear those things. I just thought, well, I'm interested in smart guys. So I was interested in the fortune cookie sayings of Jesus, so I went out and bought a Bible. And I started to kind of read through the red letters, just kind of trying to get the wisdom statements of Jesus out of the text. But of course, those are in the Gospels. And as I read through the Gospels, by this time I've been working cases for years where I had more than one witness who would make a statement on paper that I have to kind of analyze. And I was using this thing we call forensic statement analysis, which is not really a science as much as it's an art. But I learned some skill sets that I was able to use. And so as I sifted through the Gospels and applied this forensic statement analysis to the Gospels, I became concerned that they were actually reliable eyewitness accounts. And it bugged me.
Could be concerning for an atheist.
Yeah, it started to bother me. So that really is what started my journey. And so 6 or 7 months after that, I was in with both feet. But it took me a while to convince, to kind of go through all the, you know how this is, Mark. We do these cumulative cases where the strength of the case is on a dozen pieces or 24 pieces or 100 pieces of evidence that point to the same reasonable inference. And so for me, I had to get to that place where I just felt like it was overwhelming. What's keeping me out? Is it really now that there's not enough evidence to believe this is true, or is it that I didn't want there to be enough evidence to believe it was true? And I had to kind of parse through that difference.